This is the November 06 paper 3 question 3. Now this question is an application question and is not so straightforward. So I will go through how to first of all use this table and then how to interpret certain key words in the question. So for example, if you look at this word in 4a, there's the word precipitate. Precipitate means an insoluble salt is produced. This tells us that the method of salt preparation used would be precipitation. Another key phrase you can see is dissolved in water. And that means that you are supposed to also use two of these substances. That means the substances from the table. When you see the word dissolved in water, it eliminates a lot of options. It means that we cannot use the following substances because they are not soluble in water. You can see I've crossed them out on the table above. So we can pick up a lot of hints and clues in the question. We should also understand the meaning of soluble and insoluble. Soluble meaning it can dissolve in water, and insoluble meaning cannot dissolve in water. In particular here, cold water. Now, when the question says which two, here comes the chemistry part. Let's look at part A, part 1. You're supposed to make calcium carbonate. So you need a substance that can give you the calcium part and another substance that can give you the carbonate part. Therefore, the two substances from the table, the ones that are not crossed out, would be calcium chloride and sodium carbonate. So, calcium chloride and sodium carbonate. Okay. If you do the same for part 2, you have lead 2 sulfate. You need a substance that can give you the lead 2 part, and then another substance that can give you the sulfate part. Okay, so again, looking down the table, the lead 2 part would come from lead 2 nitrate, and the sulfate part can come from sulfuric acid, which is made up of hydrogen ions and sulfate ions. So I'm going to write lead 2 nitrate and sulfuric acid. Right. This brings us to part B. Again, looking at the question, part B says, how could you prepare from the mixture resulting from part A, part 1? This means that we need to use the above part. It is related. Okay, remember that the above part we have prepared an insoluble salt, a precipitate. So how can you get the pure sample from that mixture prepared in part A? Okay, so I'm going to break down the marks. There are 3 marks here, okay, and you see the word from the mixture. So there has to be 3 steps in answering the question, 3 parts as it were, 3 parts of the question. So the first part would be to filter off the precipitate, right? So I'm going to write filter off the precipitate. After you have filtered off, you have to make sure it is pure. So we are going to wash and then dry. So those are the remaining two parts. Okay, so I'm going to say wash to remove impurities and then dry to obtain pure dry sample. So as you can see, this is purely a separation techniques question. For a similar kind of question, please refer to November paper 2013, section A, question 2, parts B and C.